Hey guys, I am of course not all the way ready as per usual, um, but I'm pulling up some maps right now because I want to be able to kind of explain things. And like I said, this Delphi case is about it's huge. It is huge, and I will try to figure out how to do a poll, but I am incredibly tempted to simply switch from my Scott Peterson trial coverage. He is not that Scott Peterson, first of all, so already a point against it. But he is also the deputy in Parkland who they are trying to get for child neglect. It is an interesting legal theory that they are trying to charge this man under, and being a lay tuber, I can appreciate the interestingness of it, but I can't quite I don't have all of the kind of stuff that goes through that you can definitely say, "Look, this is totally a weirdo case because of state versus, Brendan Henderson in 1804. Y'all can't even be doing this." So, this is really maybe not the case for me. I can still kind of keep doing updates, like the first month, but I'm having looked at it, it looks like they are doing, Nicholas Cruz trial redux, and I'm not here for that. I don't need to see what these children were put through and these, victims. I don't particularly think it's, culture it shows poorly on the state to re-victimize these victims, having them come up again after the trial already happened. So I really I find that very just kinda icky, if I'm gonna be honest about it. Icky's probably the word I would use, um, just because it is icky to me to re-victimize people, make them continue to talk about something when it is very likely that nothing is going to happen to this man. Now, with the evidence thus far, and as David has said, from Helm Law, and Nicholas has said, you know, at this point in the case, with only the state having done their part, it really should not be, surprising that I feel like the man was derelict of his duty, but I it's just it might not be the case for me, but the case we are going to talk about right now is the Delphi double murder case. Now, this happened in my state. It's about 2 hours north of me. Um, Delphi is an incredibly small town. I'm pulling up the facts on it because I believe the population has changed, but we'll kind of do a little Wikipedia, what is Delphi, as we're going on. So, Delphi is a city in it's the county seat of Carroll County. I am not in that. It's about 20 minutes northeast of Lafayette. Well, it well, my kids have been told that they can no longer stream any of my streams because they are not child appropriate. I, in fact, click that little button every time I go onto YouTube. Yeah. The population was 2,893. Hey, Salvador. In the 2010 census. Now, it was kind of named after the original ancient city of Delphi, Greece. Several months after Delphi was founded, it was designated as the county seat. I am not sure where everyone is from, so the county seat is basically where you're gonna have your courthouse. Like, my particular town is the county seat for my county, so you're going to have, all of the kind of county buildings, the water department, all that kinda stuff right in there. So, this is a completely insanely small town, and we're gonna talk about, kind of doing an overview of the story. Like I said, you guys, I am not sure how to pull up a poll in my stream just right now because I was pulling up all these different articles and things because this case is a moving, uh, and there are things a happening. But, and I was talking about it kind of before anyone started watching, but I'm definitely thinking about dumping the Scott Peterson trial, and I know phrasing, and focusing on awesome, thank you for watching, and thank you for bouncing between both of us. For some reason, this is an easier case for me to deal with than the one David's covering. It just seems like sadness all around. I mean, this I feel like we can maybe get justice, maybe, but this entire case is a rabbit hole. So, I'm definitely probably going to put it in chat, or I might go to David's, Discord and in a sort of parasitic way, do a kind of, you know, goal as to look, you can share custody, dad and mom don't hate you, they hate each other. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not feeling the Peterson case. I thought I would because of just the interesting legal, but it is a redux almost one for one as I'm looking at it of the Cruz case. And I purposely didn't do the Cruz case because dude had crazy eyes, first of all. I barely made it through the stream last night with with crazy giggle McStabby pants eyes, okay? And it, I am not a person that likes to break down or have emotions out in public. And the fact that this state team is making these people relive these, horrific moments to try to do some legal shenanigans with this man, regardless of his action or inaction, re-victimizing these parents that went through it, these kids, these teachers, these monitors, these first responders. It's just gross to me. It is gross and it is ugly. So we are gonna go full on into the Delphi case, I think, for my first case that may be moving forward. Now, I have said that this is about 2 hours north from my house. I do intend, probably when the kids are back in school, to be very honest, to go up to Delphi. I can't say that I can get behind she needs to be away from any sort of implements and Amazon. Um, so let me think, where was I going? It is about 2 hours away from my house, and I do want to see if I can maybe get into the courthouse. Here is my only caveat with this, and I will try to talk to my source like I have a professional channel and everything. I want to make sure that if any friends, family, or community member wants to go in before me, they get that seat in the courtroom. I feel like, "N no, no, ma'am, no, sir, I'm not taking your spot. This is a I can watch it on the nightly news or on court TV, but I do wanna take some pictures of the bridge and, give you guys a closer feel, so I might, try to do some, like, outside field work and such. Now, I will not be crossing the bridge. I will try to pull up photos here in a minute, but it is railroad ties. They are spaced far apart. I mean, it is common kind of custom to only have one particular set of people moving one direction and then wait for another group of people to go the other way. But even before I had a gimp leg, it was not a thing that was going to happen. But it was the home of 2 preteen girls, Delphi, Indiana, Abigail Williams and Liberty Libby German. On an unseasonably warm day, February 13th, 2017, these young girls were just reveling in the freedom of having a kind of unexpected, unused snow day. I believe they had stayed at Libby's house, and, you know, Libby kind of it was an interesting family relationship, and I don't know how much I'm going to get into the family just because I feel like everyone's picked at the family, and I don't know. Again, it seems a bit cruel to pick into the family dynamic, but I believe her father did live with, like, their grandparents, I believe the mother was maybe remarried or, had other children, so it wasn't like, there was some evil breakup or anything that I'm aware of. It was just, dad lived with grandma because he had, 2 teen daughters that he took custody of. Grandma and grandpa and dad all kind of worked at a realty company, so dad would on occasion do, like, the kind of flipping stuff. Yeah, taking pictures, getting things listed on the market, and in fact, that was what he was going to be doing that particular day. Now, these 2 girls were like BFFs forever. They both loved the same things. They were, you know, into band, I believe. Abigail was playing the clarinet, and Libby was playing a horned instrument. They both loved photography, they liked any sorts of arts and crafts, and that morning, the dad got up and made Libby her favorite, banana bread pancakes. Can I tell you, being on no carbs is like I'm hearing, like, pancakes. I will be bringing up in a little bit. I'm kind of giving you a little bit of an overview before we go into, kind of the maps of things. I can try to get a view. Tonight, I am probably going to skip tonight's stream, and then tomorrow evening, I am going to be doing a bigger compilation, maybe have Salvador with me. We will watch. It's not gonna be as funny as Stabby McGiggle Pants, okay? There's a level of, like, this is funny, ish, dark humor, and then these are kids. So we will probably be watching the Dateline, and other different things that have come out from the mainstream media, and you'll really start to see where I think that this is a super shaky case against this particular suspect, and things are moving in the last 24 hours. So I'm gonna try to get to all of that in this particular stream. Yeah, I mean, it has been done. I am treading no new ground here. This is just my particular case. I believe Stephanie Harlow does, she has, like, a weekly podcast, but it's also a video cast, and, she does it with a retired, detective, and they did, I believe, a 3 or 4-part case if you really want to dig into all the details. I don't know that I'm going to dig into all that because they had an interview with the sister and things like that. I'm still learning to people, and, talking to people about what has to be the most horrible, um, days/time slash time of their life, it just feels not icky to me, but it's not my comfy zone, and I am already doing internet things, which are out of my comfy zone. So, now after the dad got the banana pancakes done and the girls were trying to figure out what they were gonna do with their day of adventure, the grandma had said, "Hey, girls, if you will file some stuff for me for the business, I will pay you." I think it was maybe like 3 or $4. And Delphi, like, the biggest draw for Delphi for kids was, a Dairy Queen where the sister worked. Oh, thanks. No problem. We are just kind of trying I am trying to stay on a track. And yes, these are lollipop earrings. Next time I make a, possibly not super sober Timu, order, I will definitely open it on stream because I was a little worried what drunk me had possibly done. The girls had, helped grandma with the filing, and the teenage sister was up there getting ready to go to work and hang out with her boyfriend. And, as you kind of transition into that high school thing, you maybe don't spend as much time with your, middle school sister as you used to because you got a boyfriend, you got a job, you're getting ready to go to college. And she was feeling a little guilty. So when the girls had decided to do kind of one of the sneaky end runarounds, when they asked dad, "Hey, can we go to the Monon Trail?" You know, and I will kind of bring up photos of what that looks like here. Let me see if I can do that while I am talking and reading. This might could not happen. looking up. I need you to not be showing me maps. All right, let me see if I can pull this up real quick while I'm trying to talk about Monon trails. So the Monon Trail is a fairly large, um, there we go. So that would be the bridge that these people would walk across. Again, I will take pictures. I will I will give you guys what I can about that, but I am not walking that bridge. That is a no sir, no ma'am kinda thing. And they asked their dad if they could go to the Monon Trail because, like I said, Delphi had about 2 things to do if you're a kid, go to the Dairy Queen or go to the Monon Trail, which is a fairly long trail that starts at Indiana or Indianapolis and goes all the way up north. So, crossing the Monon Bridge, kind of was a rite of passage sort of thing that these kids did on a dare, on a free day, and this was going to be Abigail's first time trying to get over this bridge. Now, Abigail was kind of the more quiet, introverted friend, and Libby was much more loud and into it, and let me see, I'm going to pull up pictures of the girls. I have all these things kind of road mapped in my head, and then I don't pick up the small things, like, maybe have photos of the girls. All right, I'm pulling that up and then I will get it on for you. And one day I will have an editor that does all of this for me. I have decided. See if I can. All right, I'm not, but these are the two girls. So this girl with the kind of strawberry blonde or ginger hair is Abby. And the girl next to her is Libby. And they are just the two sweetest kids. I mean, they're very excited. They were so excited to get ready to go into school. They were, kind of getting into that middle school thing. This is probably the photo that most people are really how to make full screen. Don't know. Not going to figure that out right now. But this is the photo that most people remember because it was all over the news in certain cases when this particular case started. So after they did the filing, the girls basically said to their dad, "Can we go to the trail?" Or to Libby's dad, "Can we go to the trail? We are done doing all the house things. We want to get out and explore." And they were both big fans of photography. So they were going to use their phones to take some, photos and work on that. They had worked on some painting projects earlier in that morning. And if you know teenage children, they get done with something you'd thought would take for an hour and have their attention and they are ready to do something else. So the dad basically told them, "Look, y'all, I cannot drive you, and grandma had stuff to do." So they had to kind of sweet talk their sister. But he said, "Look, it is okay as long as you find someone else to drive you, and I will pick you up." Now, the sister, again, having moved into that kind of high school stage where she's got a boyfriend, she's got a job, college is beckoning, was kind of feeling bad that day that, she had maybe pushed her little middle school sister aside. So she promised to take the girls to the Monon Trail about noonish, and their dad would pick them up about 3 o'clock. He would text them, say, "Hey, I am at this certain trailhead. Come back, meet me, and take them home." So I find that incredibly heartbreaking that the sister was the last one to see these girls, and You're going to a place that is the local kid hangout, the place that you would never feel unsafe in, the place where, it is a rite of passage, and Abigail Williams was gonna go on that bridge for the first time. Libby was capturing photos of this, historic thing for her friend because, like I said, Libby was blonde and she was, bright and out there. And she was the one that was definitely more outgoing and encouraging Libby to do certain things like, try to do this bridge. And then here is a picture of, see if I can pull it up. No, I can't make it full thing, and then it wants to show that I had to rebuy checks this morning, and you guys don't need to see that. Anyway, basically, the sister dropped them off, and the sister even made one of the girls, take one of her hoodies because it was an unseasonably warm day for February, but it was still February, and again, I don't know if you have teenage kids, but they are always like, don't need a hoodie in the middle of winter, wear wool knit stocking caps in 80 damn degrees. Teenage children, I'm gonna need you to explain it to me because y'all are making me nuts. So the start of this case and what made it so sensational is that as Abby is walking towards one end of the bridge, and let me see if I can pull up the bridge. That's why I am probably going to do one of the, many, many Dateline specials or, court TV specials. We're going to watch Salvador and myself. Alright, so let me see if I can pull these up. So they get to the other end of the bridge, and they are starting, Libby is taking these particular photos of Libby. Alright. What in the wo Do not trust me to know what I am doing some days. Alright, so this is where they were going. So they kind of walked all the way through here, and then you cross the, uh, bridge, and basically, you have to turn around and come back for them to get back to point A where they were going to meet their father. Now, the problem with that is that once you pass that bridge and you're on the other side, there's a little bit of a hill, but like I said, it is common custom for people to take one side at one passing one way and the other passing, waiting for them to pass. So as Libby is taking this picture, she starts to notice a guy in the background, and you can see a particular gentleman. Again, we will watch, it again. It is a very odd, very short clip, and it is not all of the video that we know that the state has, and for normal reasons, the police have kept back things, but it looks like Libby was able to take video of their attacker, and she was also able to take audio. Now, the problem with both of those things is that as you'll see as we go through the probable cause affidavit and then we start watching some of the trial things, you are welcome. Some of the trial things that I'm going to bring up, this case was bungled. Salvador and I watch this, and I kind of like that Salvador doesn't know anything because he'll come at it with fresh eyes because this has been like a case for me since it was in Indiana, and I had girls about their age at the time that this happened, you know, and as a parent, you never think, "Okay, I am sending my kids out on a hike," they have cell phones. I mean, like, our parents were just insane. They sent us out and we didn't even have cell phones. They could we just left a Post-it note, like, "Be back sometime. Maybe get milk." So, we find out that she has taken this picture, and the police release in the early stages of this case kind of a really weird, choppy loop of how the gentleman was walking, and you can see in the picture that I'll bring up that he's hunched over, he's got several jackets on. The way they have the video, it's so choppy, and they come out with a sketch of what he possibly looked like based on a couple eyewitnesses that had seen a sort of weirdo looking guy that was because there were several groups of young people, youth, if you will, walking around, and they may not have encountered the same person or even the suspect, but, these particular witnesses were used to create this sketch, and about 5 years later, all of a sudden, the state releases a completely different sketch, a completely different look to it. I it's shenanigans. Now, everything seems to be going normal at this point. The dad has finished his, photography of one of the houses. He is going to the trailhead and he has been trying to call. Yeah, it is. So again, I got more interested in doing this case when the probable cause affidavit came out and one of my friends who does ele- may or may not do appellate work, for the state, but not this particular county, was saying that in the defense world, the scuttlebutt was basically they have nothing. And I'm really getting worried that this is like, "Look, we don't have anything. We have exhausted the best years of being able to find fresh clues. We, confused the public, gave them one sketch, didn't give them the other until years later, haven't released a lot more than a very, terrible audio of girls and then down the hill." So, these were things that Abby was able or not Abby, that Libby was able to pick up on her phone, and we have not gotten those videos, obviously, for normal, investigative things. But back to our story. So the dad pulls up and, he's trying to call, he's trying to text, he's not getting either Abigail or Libby. And he calls his daughter and he's like, "Did you drop them off at this time? Did you tell them this time?" And I'm sure at this point his frustration level is like 75. Yeah, it's all sorts of not good. So I'm sure his, ratio of like, I thought I'd like this microphone, but it interferes with my hand movements. So, his irritated level is probably this, and his something bad happened is probably here. So he gets out of his car and he starts walking the trail. And he gets all the way to the end. He even passes someone who I believe is called Flannel Shirt Guy in one of the court documents. And he's like, "Have you seen 2 girls, blonde-headed, maybe a little bit of a ginger one, you know, they were supposed to be here, they were gonna go over the bridge, come back." And the person in the flannel shirt, the gentleman says, no, he hasn't seen them. He doesn't know where any of this is, but, which kinda just sends him on his way. And after, I'm sure, going up and down with each second starting to fill you with just more and more terror. Listen, Griffin, my youngest, we have a big house. We are lucky. I mean, even though it is state of the art 1974 and covered in, teal paneling some places, he could hide with the best of them, and I actually called the cops one day because I could not find him, and we live fairly close to a lake, a drainage runoff, and this was when he was about 2, and, I mean, I had looked in and out of the house, yelled his name, I mean, just running everywhere. As soon as the police officer comes in, Griffin walks by the front door and says, "It's an officer." So, but that feeling, I mean, I had to sit down. My legs were shaking so much, and the officer was like, "Yeah, we get this a lot, kids are kids, I'm glad you called," because I was, worried about the lake, I was worried about this. I'm sure the dad is probably thinking now, "Okay, they have fallen. This is a fairly high bridge. It is, over a waterway. It's over Deer Creek." Deer Creek is probably not going to be that full at that particular time, but it is February. That water is freezing. You fall in there, get your head struck on a rock. I mean, all of these thoughts are probably going through his head, and he is looking up and down this trail for the girls, and it gets to, I believe, about 5 o'clock, and he sounds the alarm, and he says, "Look, I" he calls the cops, and, it is a small town, so everyone knows each other. The police call the volunteer firefighters, and they are out until almost 1 o'clock that night with flashlights. I mean, hopefully, I can find the particular, mainstream media thing that, shows this poor chief of the volunteer police department saying, "I had guys doing things that they probably shouldn't have been doing. It wasn't safe." But each and every one of these men was like, "Look, those are our girls. We're gonna find them." And the family stated that, yes, the police did go because, it was getting dangerous to have a bunch of people even with all the things, lit up. Everyone brought, like, their shop lamps and their generators, and they were out there, and they were gonna find these girls. Now, eventually, the police, went back to the station. They didn't just stop looking, but they started to put out Amber Alerts and things like that because it just was not safe for them to be searching. But to hear the anguish and grief in the chief firefighter, because it's an all volunteer thing, and he said, "Look, I had to call the men back. They didn't wanna leave." And the volunteers didn't wanna leave. I believe the family stayed out there until 3 AM because I don't know about you, and this is just me, but if this was my there would be no staying at home. That's what kills me. Look, you don't wanna look suspicious, Letitia Stalk. Perhaps you should get off your hind end and go, a-looking for the son that you know is not gonna be there. Because you wanna ring alarm bells, and any real parent or any, real bonus mom, bonus dad, aunt, uncle, grandparent, you stay in your house when people are searching for your lost kid. You are already gonna, get off so many creeper alarms, you have no idea. Now, sadly, the next day, it they would get to searching early. Kelsey, the sister, was in one group. They kind of had so, like, civilians grouped up with an officer, and they had I believe they had called out, like, everyone, like, people on horses, on, uh they're not doom buggies, ATVs. I wanted to say ATC, and I'm like, "No, that's for blood sugar." That's the wrong one. I mean, they had everyone, and everyone came back, and the family came back early, and I believe I will have to double check the actual time, but around 11 o'clock, one of the search groups found 2 pairs of shoes and kind of some clothings like socks and shoes either in Deer Creek in the creek or on the bank. So, immediately, they called things out, and about 100 yards away from there, another group found the body. And this probably sounds really horrible to say, but I am so glad that the sister was not in that group. You can tell, I mean, she is in college now. I mean, she is look, she has grown up to be so strong, and you can see it in all of her interviews. She wants justice. The entire family, both families, the town wants justice. People on the internet who didn't even know these little girls want justice. But it was not a pretty crime scene, from what we are learning and from what has leaked out. It looks like, one of the girls, and I will have to double check because I don't wanna put out, wrong information. One of the girls was incapacitated immediately with a stab wound or knife wound to the neck. The other one was he took more time. Whoever did this, if the person they have in there is the guy, then we prosecute the holy heck out of him because he is one sick puppy and he did some terrible things. But if this is not the guy, if we have wasted more time before these girls get actual justice here on earth, then the amount of side eye and ma'am that and sir that will be my feelings toward the prosecution is immense. So basically, for many years, we just had this sketch, this replay of this certain reel of film, and the really garbly audio that says "down the hill" or "girls down the hill." Now, it was always speculated because there were 2 victims, you know, a lot of people, a lot of internet sleuths were like, "How did he control 2 victims?" Because as it turns out, as you'll learn as we get deeper into it, he made them walk down the hill, which you obviously heard, then go across Deer Creek to the other side, and that's why they had taken off their socks and shoes. And he made them take those off before okay, they believe they made him take or he made them take them off before they got it to this kind of dense underbrush area that I'm hoping to be able to take pictures of, because I'm the type of person that if there is a video showing the actual path, that is or I can be there, I can visualize it, but just the little diagram thingies that they show, I don't do that very well. So for many years, that's all we had. And then about let me pull this up because I've got so many different tabs open to try to show you guys because it really is just all of the things. Sadly, there have been a lot of different okay, there's just all the ads. There have been a lot of things, and I want to watch and kind of collate a lot of the different aren't you guys so glad you can see I was looking at chair cushions? It is what it is. But this particular gentleman, with the interesting goatee is our suspect, and he is I know for the love of all Richard Allen, Richard Matthew Allen, because he has to have 3 names because God knows that if he did this, we need to know his middle name to call him completely by his name. But this was in 2022. So this is only in the last year that we have gotten, they made a big presentation of finding this gentleman. This gentleman, I believe, worked at the CVS and or Walgreens as a manager slash someone, but the media has made a big deal that if he is this particular suspect, if he is, our unknown suspect, he was in charge of doing photos like, they were doing printed out photos for the memorial service. He, in fact, helped the grandma print these out. Now, I mean, this is before they knew who he was, but so on November, 29th, there has been a lot of haggling and just, different things like what can we release to the public, what can't we release to the public, that has been going on and on since this day. But we'll kind of go through this article, and it does have, all of the redacted court court documents that we'll be going through. So, a bullet that was never fired allegedly led police to the doorstep of a man accused of the Delphi double murder. On Tuesday, a judge ordered the release of a redacted version of the document detailing the reasons for charging Richard Allen in the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. A court ruled that the safety of the witness could be ensured by redacting their names from the documents. Meanwhile, Allen's personal information was removed as well. The probable cause affidavit had remained secret to the public for weeks after Allen's arrest on the order of Carroll County Judge Benjamin Dyer. Dyer later recused himself, and special judge Francis Gull out of Allen County was appointed to the case. Now, the shenanigans about this one was that he decided not to release any of this stuff to the public. Now, the majority of internet being not absolute jackbutts, we're just like, "Okay, look, he ruled against us." Now, the 1% of internet crazies were threatening him, his family, and every other thing because he hadn't released this information. So, he felt in fear for his life and then decided, "Look, I'm out." Gull made the decision to publicly release redacted court documents Tuesdays after hearing public arguments on the motion November 22nd. Gull chose to take the motion under advisement with a ruling to be released later. According to the documents, investigators believe they can tie a gun that Allen owns, to the crime scene. So this is what I'm saying, when literally, as far as we know from the documents given out thus far, they can only tie a bullet to one of his guns potentially as to anything that leads him to the case. Now, we'll start reading through and we'll start really showing that if we look at things with a critical eye, there's a lot of things that the state is missing. Now, again, if we kind of recall back to the Letitia Stout case, that probable cause affidavit had a couple things that did not line up with the state's case, because when they wrote it, they had not yet found Gannon's body. So they presumed that due to the amount of forensic evidence, like the blood staining and the things like that, that unfortunately Gannon was probably not still alive. But they kind of wrote it in like, chick looks super de duper guilty, and here's why. Let's see. According to the documenters, they believe they can tie. Aha. A search warrant was served on Allen's home on October 13th. Several guns and knives were found there, but investigators zeroed in on a 40 caliber Sig Sauer P226. The gun was tested at the Indiana State Police Laboratory between October 14th and October 19th, and the experts concluded that an unspent round located at the crime scene within 2 feet of the body of one of the victims had been cycled through Allen's gun. Now, here's the problem with this, and there are hunters. If there are so many ways that a defense attorney, if these are the only things that they have, can say, "Look, my client goes hunting. This is in the underbrush." I mean, yes, it is technically a state parky kind of thing, but when has that stopped a hunter who sees a really good deer? Now, as not a hunter, I don't know if you would use this specific, um, Thank you, Flux. We have to get together for a painting and cross stitch, uh, stream one time soon. I am working on all the being, like, responsible and scheduling things. It'll happen. Okay, let's see if I can go this, I believe yes. So here is where we get into the court documents, and you guys can help me pick out a chair cushion because apparently my leg does not like being in a chair for a while because it's an ass. All right, so state of Indiana, Carroll County. I do not know if Carroll County will be showing up in the courthouse, but oh, good. I'm glad other people are struggling because I'm like, y I have to remind myself and look back at it's only been a month. So or about 5 weeks. So I'm trying to get things more nailed down, but it has been a month. So the court having had this matter under advisement following a hearing conducted on November 2022, having considered the evidence submitted and the arguments of counsel, now denies the state's verified request to prohibit public access to a court record in part. The court finds that the state has failed to prove by clear and convincing evidence that the affidavit of probable cause and charging information should be excluded from public access. Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, so it's a whole thing that look, my leg decides to be awesome for several days and then a giant pain in the ass every other day. But I'm hoping okay, so Mr. Mo said I don't know if anyone has watched Grandma's Boy because it was, like, kind of one of those Adam Sandler's Friends spin-off movies, but, the computer technique or tech nerd has, one of these chairs that he, like, leans back and becomes Neo. Apparently those are super de duper expensive, so I won't be getting one of those, and thus far, he has not figured out how to put a lazy boy near the computer, but we have the weekend. Now, this has been a new thing because within the last week, the, state has tried to again put a gag order on the family. Now, I am only tangentially affiliated with LawTube as the Queen Empress of LayTube, where we don't have no degrees or nothing, we just say it like we see it. Um, but according to my friend who does have legal, like, degrees and all that stuff, you cannot bar a family from talking about things. Now, I do think that they ended up, like, basically putting duct tape over that one dad from the, Idaho case, but in general, I believe common practice is not to have a gag order on the family. The families are generally not kept up to breast with all of the information, and generally, that is why that's part of the reason if you have a real dick of a state attorney and they want to use emotion, they will withhold certain things from the family as far as autopsy or things of information to get that raw reaction. Yeah. Yeah. E Look, I can sort of see his point because if I thought the cops were screwing around with their thumbs up their butt and they were doing nothing and my child had been targeted and I would not stop being a pain in their butt. But I think there's a ways that you approach that with maybe your lawyer so you don't also end up looking like a giant douche canoe. But everyone grieves and maybe going full on, I am not thinking about this. I am pouring everything into finding someone, nailing that someone in, and then I don't have to deal with my feelings right now. I get it. Believe me, the avoid and get real busy doing other stuff has been my emotional coping mechanism. Slight advice, do not follow my life path. It's not healthy. Work on your stuff. But I did wanna throw in there that the state had just, within the last week or so, asked for the family members to be included in a gag order. Um, we were talking about so I'm slowly getting into, the state having to release the, documents that were redacted in this Delphi case, so the probable cause affidavit and certain other things, and and then I was kind of bringing into the fact that I know within the last week or so, the state also tried to put the family under a gag order, and that is not generally what happens. You don't put victims or those kind of people on a gag order, and I will show in another stream the family's reaction to that. They were not happy, but they fought very hard for the probable cause affidavit not to come out, and it's leading some people in the know to believe that they don't have a lot because thus far, going on the probable cause affidavit, we simply have that there was a spent shell casing that can be, oh gosh, what do they say? Included, not excluded from possibly coming from this particular Richard Allen's gun. So it's just going through, all right, the court notes the prosecuting attorney submitted charging informations and probable cause affidavit at November 22, 2020 hearing that were redacted, eliminating witnesses' names and identifying personal information of the defendant. Those documents will be released to the public and made part of the public record of this cause. The original charging informations and affidavit of probable cause shall remain sealed and confidential. The court further finds that media intervener's motion for leave to intervene is moot, therefore denied. So basically, the entire media was like, the hell you will keep these information from us, to the point where I don't know if it was the media, but some internet crazies may or may not have threatened the original judge to where they had to get a special judge from a different county to come in and make these things. So the, charging is felony murder, 1 count, another count of felony murder. He is obviously being charged with the deaths of both girls. It is a felony 1 count. I am going to get my, appellate friend on to maybe explain the kind of severity, like, is it I know it's first degree, but, what are the special circumstances that make it, a first degree? Okay, and then we're gonna get into the probable cause affidavit. I do have a hard stop time at about 1:20 today, so we have plenty of time to kind of get through, hopefully, these, probable cause kind of things. Yeah, so and like I said, this is an incredibly small county. There was 2,500 and I think 63 people at the census in 2010. So, to the point where the local police department, kind of handed over all of the, investigation and, collecting evidence to the Indiana State Police. I mean, they kind of looked at it and they decided they were in no way up to all the things that this case would require. And it doesn't say who did it, but let's see. Well, they probably redacted it. I, the undersigned officiant, submit the following information pursuant to a lot of numbers as sworn affidavits setting forth facts and circumstances to known enforcement of Carroll County as the basis for probable cause to arrest without warrant or establish probable cause for the issuance of an arrest warrant of the above named defendant. Richard M. Allen is the defendant slash suspect. The facts and circumstances described below would be sufficient basis for a person of reasonable caution and prudence to believe that the accused has committed or attempted to commit the offenses described, and if arrested without warrant, such would be authorized. The hearsay statements of the witnesses contained herein are considered reliable and credible due to the witnesses' personal knowledge and or were corroborated by the totality of circumstances. That on February the 14th, 2017, victim 1 and victim 2 were found deceased in the woods approximately 0.2 miles northeast of the Monon High Bridge in Carroll County. Their bodies were located on the north side of Deer Creek. At the time, the Monon High Bridge was approximately 1 mile of gravel trail terminating at the Monon High Bridge. The Monon High Bridge is an abandoned railroad trestle approximately 0.25 miles long, spanning Deer Creek and Deer Creek Valley on the southeast end of the trail. Approximately 0.7 miles northwest on the trail from the northeastern edge of Monon High Bridge is the Freedom Bridge. Now, being children, there is a perfectly normal and safe bridge. Now, they all wanna go on the Monon High, like, bridge of broken ankle, because of course they do. I mean, there's 2,000 people, and the biggest thing they have in that town is the high school and the Dairy Queen. Kids are gonna kid. Dangerous bridge, I mean, we all saw, oh gosh, Stand By Me. I mean, they went, like, 100 and million years from their houses to go see a potential unalive body. Kids are just they're gonna kid. It could be called that. Approximately 350 feet west of the Freedom Bridge was a former railroad overpass for Old State 25, also known as County Road 300 North. The trail terminates just west of the former railroad overpass. The majority of the trail is in a wooded area with a steep embankment on the south side of the trail. The entirety of the trail and the location of the girls' bodies were and are located in Carroll County, Indiana. Through interviews and reviews of electronic records and review of video at Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators believe that victim 1 and victim 2 were dropped off across from the Myers farm at 1:49 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. It's redacted, but we know it is the older sister. The Mears farm is located on the north side of Carroll County Road 300 North near the entrance to the trails. A video from victim 2's phone shows that at 2:13 p.m., victim 1 and victim 2 encountered a male subject on the southeast portion of the Monon High Bridge. The male ordered the girls go down or guys down the hill. So this will be the one clip that we will be able to hear in sort of the mainstream media things that I think we're going to watch tomorrow night. But this is all we had for a long time. No witnesses saw them after this time. Now, it was put forward that and look, if it was my child, I'd wanna believe this. I'd wanna believe that my child had the wherewithal and situational awareness that, "Oh, this guy is creepy. I'm gonna start taking video of him." What is a bit more likely, unfortunately, is that, um you know, Abigail was or Libby was taking a picture of Abigail, her friend, who was brave enough for the first time to cross this bridge. And she didn't think, a whole lot about the guy behind her. Now, I have tried to tell my girls, you only wear one earbud, you pay attention to where you're going, Don't rely on Jesus like I did with all the dumb things and stupid situations I put myself in over the years. Please just don't. Be aware of yourself. I have watched way too many true crime things to be comfortable with you guys walking around without situational awareness, but, eh, they don't have it. At 12, 13, you never would think, "This person wants to hurt me. This person for no reason, this guy behind us, even though he may, start putting off these things in my lizard brain, that he would really wanna hurt you." I mean, it is outside of the realm of possibility for most adults to think this. So, I understand the desire to make her want to know that, she had some inborn, you know, sense of self-preservation, and she took a photo and she fought back, and she did. She she absolutely gave those police something to work on. Don't take me wrong. But to think she did it intentionally for that purpose, I feel like is a bit disingenuous, and that was kind of the story that we were told for a long time. I think that the story that she was taking a picture and video of her friends is much more believable to me, and that's just from a mom perspective. No outgoing communications were found on victim two's phone after this time. Their bodies were discovered on February 14th, so Valentine Day, guys, 2017. The video recovered from victim two's phone shows victim one walking southeast on the Monon High Bridge while a male subject wearing a dark jacket and jeans walks behind her. As the male subject approaches victim one and victim two, one of the victims mentions guns or gun. Now, here's the other thing is that it did kind of make a lot of people with maybe more logical and literal minds kind of wonder, if you have 2 victims and you're one person, you need a force multiplier, or you need something that's going to scare the both of them into compliance. Because even back in, the day, Richard Allen was not an incredibly, P90X fit man. So there was definitely a thought that there was something that was needed to keep both girls under control and get that kind of going, which led and still leads a lot of people to believe that should this person be guilty of this crime, this was not his first crime because he had these sort of, eventualities planned out. It's very high risk for your first time to take 2 people, in a rural area where they could run off. They There are many variables. I mean, he had to be fairly confident that he could get both of these girls under control in a very short amount of time, be able to incapacitate one or both at the same time. It just doesn't sit well to me that this is a first time thing if this is the particular person. So it is kind of alleged and alluded to that this could possibly be Richard Allen's gun. Near the end of the video, the male is seen and heard telling the girls, "Guys, down the hill." The girls begin to proceed down the hill and the video ends. A still photograph taken from the video and "Guys Down the Hill" audio was subsequently released to the public to assist investigators in identifying the male. Here's the other thing. I mean, we have had this audio for years. This man has talked, he worked at the CVS. These police investigators probably went in and talked to him just on unrelated stuff, like going to get, it's 9 o'clock. One kid has the stomach flu and you need Lysol, holy water, and Gatorade. You're gonna go to the local CVS if Walmart's not available. The video is so haunting. It is haunting. I mean, there was a reason that when this well, I didn't have YouTube, but there was a reason I did not get into this case until many years later because I had girls about this age, and it was just terrifying. And it really seemed like it was going to be A cold case. Victim 1 and Victim two's deaths were ruled as homicide. Clothes were found in the Deer Creek belonging to Victim 1 and Victim 2, south of where their bodies were located. There was also a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet away from Victim two's body. Between Victim 1 and Victim two's body, the round was unspent and had extraction marks on it. It did, and I don't think so. I think she put her phone in her pocket. That's what was theorized, at least, and we will have to wait for the state to put on its entire, case, but I think she was maybe covering up the fact that she was recording still when he came on. That might have been a conscious act, but the audio was recorded through a baked potato, so it was not good audio. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles. They advised they were on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Dyslexia is awesome. On February 13th, 2017, they advised they were walking on the trail toward the Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from the Freedom Bridge toward the Monon High Bridge. Uh, the victims described him as kind of creepy, advised he was wearing, like, blue jeans, a, like, really light blue jacket, and his hair was more gray, maybe a little brown. He did not really show his face. She advised that the jacket was a duck canvas style jacket, so, like, a Carhartt jacket. Duck material, if you've ever had outside pillows or cushion covers, that sort of real thick canvasy with a bit of a treatment on it, that is duck fabric. That is named duck because it's supposed to bead water off. It's not supposed to soak in, so there's been a special treatment. Did I used to do sewing? Yes, I did. I have a lot of hobbies and not a lot of time. I realized that having 6 kids, cuts into my hobby time. Uh, the witness advised she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and had something cover his mouth. She described him as not very tall with a bigger build. Now, Michael Allen is short and kind of stocky. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". She advised he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. She showed investigators photographs that she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. The photographs included a photo of the Monon High Bridge taken at 12:43, another taken at 1:26 of the bench of the east of the Freedom Bridge. Uh, the witness advised that after she took a photo of the bench, they started walking back toward Freedom Bridge. She advised that that was when they encountered the man who matched the description of the photograph taken from victim two's phone. She described the man she encountered on the trail as wearing a blue or black windbreaker jacket. She advised that the jacket had a collar and he had a hood up from the clothing underneath his jacket. She advised he was wearing baggy jeans and he was taller than her. She advised her head came up to approximately his shoulder. She advised that she said hi to the man and he said nothing back. Right here, we have 3 different witnesses almost saying the same thing, but there are enough differences in there that and honestly, if I'm a teen girl, even if my mom has told me, "Look, if your spider brain starts a tingling, you take a picture, you take, like, you send me a tag, you tag me your location, you call in the cavalry." But I doubt that these girls are going to have and they're not purposely not telling the truth. What I'm gonna guess is going to happen is that they are going to differ wildly from what they said in this particular interview to more match, Richard Allen because he's the suspect. Now and I don't mean that consciously, I don't well, no, I mean, it definitely was a Caucasian person from what we saw, but I hope they have something more than these witnesses and the unspent shell, but that is what I am told is covered in this particular, affidavit, and it's looking like a very shaky case. To the point that, spoiler alert, guys, in the last, I believe 48 hours, Richard Allen's defense, team has put a motion in, or put forth a motion in limine, so the kind of pretrial, like, you know, strategery that lawyers do, that that would drop the ballistics information from, what they could tell the jury thus far when they're trying to seat a jury. We will go in. I mean, like I said, this is like just the little teeny tiny tip of the iceberg. I'm trying to show you why a lot of defense attorneys are having pretty big issues with this particular case going forward with what is shown in this probable cause affidavit. And what the defense is trying to do is make sure that this particular piece of evidence, the ballistics information, doesn't even get in front of the jury because, as you know, I mean, I think I'm line up more on David's side that ballistics information can be good for some things, but it's not like a magical, like, I can tell everything from everything. So it's not, completely, uh, you know, made up science, but I want more. And I understand that it's a probable cause affidavit and they have kept many things close to the chest as far as this case goes. Like, it wasn't until, I believe this year that we knew how the girls had passed away, and even that is still sort of speculative. She advised, that she said hi to the man, and he said nothing back. She stated he was walking with a purpose, like he knew where he was going. She stated he had his hands in his pocket and kept his head down. She advised she did not get a good look at his face, but believed him to be a white male. And I believe that this particular, let me stop this screen, present this screen. I believe this has been his particular, go-to style, facial feature or facial hair and such for years. Now, the first thing I'm gonna notice, even if your head is bent down, that you have some sort of facial hair, and it's not anywhere in the probable cause affidavit that I can see. So like I said, I'm not disbelieving these witnesses, but I am not going to convict a man on on witness testimony alone. We will get into it, like I said, it is tip of the iceberg. The girls advised that after encountering the male, they continued to walk across Freedom Bridge and the old railroad bridge over State 35 or Old State Road 25. Investigators spoke with Blank, who advised she was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store captured a vehicle traveling eastbound at 1:46 p.m. toward the entrance across from the Mears farm. Advised she saw 4 female or juvenile females walking on the bridge over Old State Road 25 as she was driving underneath on her way to the park. Blank advised there was no other cars parked across from the Mears farm where she parked. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male watching or matching the one from victim two's videos. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jean jacket. See, here between all of these witnesses, we've had a black windbreaker, a duck material jacket, and then a jean jacket. Now, It does look, and we will go over the video, it does look like this particular person that is captured is wearing multiple layers, either to disguise his kind of general body build, or that was just how he was dealing with the weather that day. She advised he was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking lot area across from the Mears farm, she passed two girls walking toward the Monon High Bridge. She advised no, for the love of she advised she believed the girls were victim 1 and victim 2. Video from Hoosier Harvester shows that at 9:50 or 1:49 PM, a white car matching Blank's vehicle traveling away from the entrance across from Mears Farm. Blank advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvestware video at 2:14 leaving westbound from the trails. She advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Services building. If you all remember that Carroll County is the seat of or Delphi is the seat of Carroll County, so all of your, DCF and, WIC and your county courthouse, maybe even your county jail, are all going to be in Delphi. She said it was not odd for vehicles to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked, backed in near the building. Investigators received a tip from Blank in which he stated he was on his way to Delphi on State Road 25 around 2:10 p.m. on February 13th, 2017, and he observed a purple PT Cruiser or small SUV type vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. Okay, make it make sense, state, because if this guy it is very possible that this could all be true and the state is completely above board, but he's gonna drive a doggone conspicuous purple PT Cruiser to the state of or to the area of his first, like, criminaling? I mean, maybe he's just dumb. Criminals are dumb. He stated it appeared as though it was backed in as to conceal the license plate on the vehicle. According to what I know from Indiana, since I live here, we only have to have one license plate. I know that, like, when we were the infamous Darrell Brooks case, um, the state of Michigan requires, I think, a front and back license plate. So we only have one here. This particular witness both drew diagrams of where they saw the vehicle parked, and their diagrams generally matched to the area the vehicle was parked and the manner in which it was parked. He advised he remembered seeing a smaller, dark colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. Blank vehicle is seen leaving at 2:28. Oh, yeah. I have no time for statehoodness. Come on now. But yes, it was actually in Wisconsin. Always correct me if I say something wrong, because to be honest, I always think I'm sounding somewhat right. Not in the Sarah Boone levels, but, like, pretty sure that's right. Investigators spoke with Redacted, who stated she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13th, 2022, and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of 300 North, away from the Monon High Bridge. Redacted advised that the male subject was wearing a blue-colored jacket, blue jeans, and was muddy and bloody. Am I the only one that woulda screenshotted that, sent it to my friend, sent it to another friend in case this MFer, was all, uh, Jason Voorhees from frickin' oh gosh, Halloween. Am I the only one that sees a suspicious van and, like, takes a picture of the license plates, takes a picture of the van, and, sends it to a friend just in case? But then again, y'all, I have been deep into law and crime tube for years, so maybe I'm just a little paranoid. Okay, so 2022 is when the, probable cause affidavit was released. Did I say, so 2017 is the year that the crime occurred. Okay, yeah, it must be a typo on there, and I'm surprised that they didn't catch it, but this is what was released to the public. And again, muddy and bloody. I'm just stating out that, look, I see any of you, you're all my best friends. You are muddy and bloody. We are taking photographs to show your lawyer, not the cops, but I'm gonna need someone to be a little suspicious of everyone. She further stated that it appeared that he gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching video from Hoosier Harvest Store that Redacted was traveling on CR, so County Line or County Road 300 North at approximately 3:57 PM. Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, "Did I mess that up?" No, it was the state. Through interviews, electronic data, photographs, and video from Hoosier Harvest Store, investigators determined that there were other people on the trail that day after 2:13 PM. Those people were interviewed, and none of the individuals encountered the male subject referenced above, witnessed by the juvenile girls and redacted. Further, none of those individuals witnessed victim 1 and victim 2. Investigators reviewed prior tips, encountered a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. Well, yeah, probably. Look, y'all, I am gonna be the one person, they always have that one person on the interview that's like, "He was always so quiet. We never thought he had, like, a people suit made out of people in his backyard." I'm gonna be that loud one. My favorite one's gonna be like, "Hide your husband, hide your children." I love that guy. Um But I'm gonna be the one that was like, "Look, dude always seemed creepy AF to me. I always figured he had a gimp suit or some kinda weird stuff going on in the back uh, in his back room. He just seemed too happy." And they'll be like, "Ma'am, why did you feel that way?" Look, I watch a lot of true crime. I basically think 1 in 4 people has a sex dungeon, possibly wild or no, a Buffalo Bill kind of well in their backyard, if you will. I am an incredibly suspicious. Oh, so you had no information? Nope, it was a gut feeling. Thank you for your time, ma'am. But this was a tip that they no, no, unless it's, like, being worn by someone held hostage. That's more my scenario that I feel like. So this was a tip that was taken in 2017, but I don't believe they even got to it because I believe it was filed wrong until just this year. I know. I am going look, it shouldn't be on my bucket list, and I pray it never happens, but should I be in the opportunity to say, "Look, like, I knew a person, but I just couldn't call the cops on, like, look, dude seems creepy AF to me, and I watch a lot of true crime, and I'm just saying, y'all might want to, like, pre-crime investigate this man or woman," as we've seen from last night. Um, but if it happens, I will be the loud mouthy one saying, "Oh, hells yes. He was all sorts of the creepies, and check out my YouTube channel." Shameless self-promotion. So, this particular officer interviewed Richard M. Allen in 2017. The narrative stated Mr. Allen was on the trail between 13:30 and 15:30, so 1:30 and 3:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw 3 females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anyone, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead, however, they did not pay attention to him. He did not take any photos or videos. Now, that is the other thing that, may link him. His cell phone did not list an IMEI, but did have the following, lot of numbery things. I'm guessing that they didn't see. You are totally fine. I am trying to get onto this case. There are a lot of things happening. The defense in the last 72 hours put a motion in limine to drop the unspent shell casing evidence that really is one of the few things with all the information that the public is allowed to have that can link this particular gentleman to the area, to the crime. Now, Richard Allen is in very poor health, and it looks like a race to the finish line, to be very honest with you. I supremely hope that they have the right person, but this case has had a lot of missteps, and we'll be going over those. This is more of going over what the court has given us, kind of some articles of what just happened in the last 48 to 24 hours with the defense bringing the motion in limine to eliminate the ballistics information because they feel like they can't sufficiently link it to the time. This is a very rural area. Now, as not a hunter, I don't know if you would use a Sig Sauer to go hunting, but if you happen to be concealed carrying, and I believe Indiana it was constitutional carry at that time, he might could have the defense could take a lot of things. He was, maybe he saw a deer, he saw a cougar, there was a coyote, there could be reasons why an unspent shell. Yeah, but who has if it's a local area, if it's a local teen hangout, it's like the one of 2 things to do in the town. I would not be shocked, even though the way the media has spun it, that he would have a picture of his daughter in, the same area, or that his daughter would have a, you know, Libby and Abby Strong shirt. Again, this is a town of 2,000, almost 3,000 at the time, if I'm remembering correctly. So these do not bring up my spidey sense if I'm going from the if I'm going from the mindset that I am assuming that he is innocent, like the jury should be assuming he's innocent and that all of these, is there a reasonable doubt? Can the state meet its burden, which is, hopefully more than what they have that we've currently seen? Potential for follow-up information. Who were the 3 girls walking in the area of Freedom Bridge? Now, we heard their witness statements, and we've had several different witnesses who have all had slight variations of what he was wearing to the point that, one said he was wearing all black and had his face completely covered. One said he was wearing a jean jacket. One said he was wearing a jacket, like a duck jacket with a hoodie from another, piece of clothing on it. So you have all these witnesses saying slightly different things. So I'm really looking for there to be something concrete because I feel like there's not a lot of concrete here yet. And okay, deep in my heart of hearts, y'all, I want this to be the guy. Like, I want them to have him, you know, down to the ground, nailed to to the ground. He is super de duper guilty. It is, like a Letitia Stalk, in and out kind of for the amount of casework that they had. In and out, there's gonna be no problem. What I fear and what I don't want is that they did not get enough, and this man could walk. This man could walk, and we are back to square one. That's what I really fear here. Now it kind of jumps, so I don't know if they just didn't get it quite, copied correctly. Blank was not a Farm Bureau building in the area, nor had there ever been. Investigators believe females he saw blank and blank due to the time they were leaving, the time he reported getting into the trail, and descriptions the females gave. Investigators discovered that Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017. Yeah, that's my worry. That is my big worry. Uh, I want him to be the guy. Like, in my totally biased part of my mind, the little angel that sits over here like, "Dude, I want to see all the evidence, and then I want to put you in a little cell." As I have grown in my law tubeness and seeing the Rittenhouse case and things like that, I worry that they have just picked this man up because they kind of botched the investigation. We will be doing a stream of, like, we'll be probably the next stream will be Thursday night. I will probably not do a stream tonight because I am not going to be doing the Scott with 1 T Peterson case anymore. Um, y'all, they are trying to charge this deputy basically doing the Nicholas Cruz trial again, and I will not be party to listening to these people have to relive their trauma daily because the state wants to do some legal shenanigans because 'cause they're mad that Cruz didn't get the life sentence. So I will probably be doing monthly. I might do closing statements in the thing. Now, I know Kurt from Uncivil Law is covering the Scott Peterson case, so if you still want to have daily coverage of that, you can always go there. He is also, an actual legal guy, an actual lawyer, if you will. So he will be able to explain kind of the unique legal theories that they're trying to get him under, child neglect and things like that. So this case is close to my house. I'm hoping to possibly be able to go to some of the court proceedings. Now, I will go ahead and warn you guys that I have a friend in, and I know I've said this before, but if you're just jumping in, I have a friend in kind of the appellate side of the way things work in Indiana. And I want to kind of get a feel from her through her contacts up there if the court is going to be packed. And my reasoning is look, I love YouTubing, you guys. I love doing this. I will gladly go walk the Monon Trail. I will gladly oh, bye. I hope you have a good day. And that is a cute okay, look, I am going to the eye doctor, either a very cute cat or dog, and I'm sorry about that. Look, I'm going to get glasses. My medication has changed my eyesight a bit, which is, super awesome. Okay, I was on a tangent. Basically, if I get a chance to go to the courthouse, what I do not and what I will not do for the sake of being able to watch this case is take one doggone seat away from a family member, one of the people from the town, or, a friend. That I'm not gonna do that. We can watch court TV. I will learn how to do an overlay for, like, the safety of all of us and copyright, but that is the one thing that I think is it is up to everyone's personal discretion. I know, law tubers that got in for the Letitia Stalk trial, and, they waited there, and that was cool. I it's just my personal comfort level, my personal kind of I do have a conscience, kinda thing. I really want to have her give me a feel of how the court's gonna be, how packed it's gonna be, because it is about a 2-hour Thank you. It is about a 2-hour drive for me, so I'm hoping that the trial goes when the kiddos are in school and I can devote maybe a week, maybe, plan on everyone fending for themselves for a day, and I'll just go up there and I'll cover opening statements and closing statements, because I'll be very honest with you all too, I don't wanna see pictures of these little girls. I don't. I saw the Gannon Stout case where Court TV decided to show, uh and they had to show the jury and everything, but I wasn't ready for that, and I don't wanna see it if I don't have to. I will cover it because these girls went through it if I know that I won't be taking a seat from one of the families or friends or anyone from that town. It's just like a personal thing I won't do. But I don't judge any other YouTuber. Like I said, it's just my feelings on it. Okay, Richard Allen owned 2 vehicles in 2017, a 2016 black Ford Focus and a 2006 gray Ford 500. So neither of those are a possible smart car. I mean, I guess you could maybe say the Ford Focus could have looked like a smart car or a PT Cruiser that were mentioned in the thing above. Investigators observed a vehicle that resembled Allen's 2016 Ford Focus on the Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:27 p.m. traveling westbound on County Road 300 North in front of Hoosier Harvest Store, which coincided with his statement that he arrived around 1:30 p.m. at the trails. Investigators notes witnesses described the vehicle parked at former Child Protective Service building as a PT Cruiser, small SUV, or smart car. Investigators believe those descriptions are similar in nature to a black 2026 or 2016 Ford Focus. Okay, chat. Am I in need of even more glasses? But in what world does a purple PT Cruiser or a smart-ish looking, like a smart car, end up as a Ford Focus, a black Ford Focus? And the, former Child Protective Services building did not have any video or anything that you could find. So, again, things are not matching up for me, and I have all of the things where I need the story to make sense. This is not making sense right now. On October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised that he was on the trails. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, like, I don't even know cars. Okay, so Mr. Mo, we have the giant Ford Transit that is bright red and 10 passenger. And then Mr. Mo, well, so the one witness whose name was redacted said it could have been a PT Cruiser, an SUV, or a smart car. That was the description from the same person. So PT Cruiser, small SUV, or smart car were the 3 kind of differing thing from the same guy. He also doesn't know cars. But Mr. Mo has a Ford Fusion. Now, I call it a Ford F-it because we did not get I don't even know what kinda engine they put in there, but it goes 0 to 60 in about 6 months. I know, that's what I'm saying. E You do not like okay, I'm gonna be real honest, I'm gonna show my, terrible ability to pick cars, but I loved the PT Cruiser. I wanted a PT Cruiser. I also picked out a Pinto when my mom was asking me which of the vintage cars I liked. So, I do not have good taste in cars, but, this is where you're starting to take, small leaps of witnesses. Dude looks a little creepy. Dude also admits that he was at the hiking trail the same day to, yeah, his Ford Focus looks like a purple PT Cruiser. On October 13th, 2022, Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east from Freedom Bridge and went on to the Monon High Bridge. So, for those of you who just got in or kind of came up, there are two particular bridges in like the area of the Monon Trail that is in Delphi. There is the Freedom Bridge, which is a normal people bridge, like, it's safe, it has sides and everything. So, of course, everyone wants to go to the kind of abandoned railroad tie bridge as kind of a rite of passage for the kids. Again, this is a 3,000 people town. They have a Dairy Queen in the high school, so this is what kids do. They dare each other to walk by. It's so narrow and kind of planks are missing that it's sort of common practice, kind of etiquette that if you see a person going one way, you wait until they completely get off the bridge before you start going another way. You do not try to go 2 people abreast. It's just it's a l more unsafer than the unsafeness. Richard Allen further stated that he went onto the Monon High Bridge to catch fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. So, I will try to go take pictures of the Monon High Bridge, but there are kind of like little outposts or little stop things, on there, and so he's saying he only went to, like, the first little platform. No, let me pull it up again. I only have I am trying to figure out how to do the images and everything. Okay, let me pull this up. Oh, that's not me. I mean, that is me, but not the me that I wanted to pull up. You guys get to learn how I internet and talk to myself as I do this. You are all so excited. Oh, for the love of Cheetos, pay attention. This is that bridge. This is what I like to call just plain old terror, and those are platforms. I mean, it is not something it so, yeah, I will be going. I already have so in addition to a, unreliable leg, I now have vision that is also not reliable. Yeah, but this would not be what I would consider a fun thing to do, but, I'm not, stuck in Monin, just in the middle. So this is another you kind of get a let me see, stop screen, present. I'll pick up another one because it kind of shows a more eagle eye, and you get to see the creek a little bit better. So he took them down the steep embankment and made them cross the creek. That's Deer Creek. Now, if you live in Indiana, we used to could have a, um, place called Deer Creek, and it was a concert center, and it was located yeah, no, y'all will just have to I will probably clip, video of other people walking past it, 'cause no, no, ma'am. I am all of the out on I love YouTube, but no. I am I am not, going to be going on that bridge. Sorry for all of you. That is just it is not gonna happen today or any other day. My leg could immediately heal with an act of God, and my eyesight could be like 20. Yes. Yeah, because, but now it is, oh gosh, what is it? Banker's Life or I don't even know what it is anymore. Look, concerts, I have been to one concert in my life, and it was, John Mellencamp when I was 7, and I think I was scarred for life. It involves, things that are not really good in combination for me, loud noises, a lot of people, and staying up, past dark. There are reas Look, for a family that gets up at about 4 AM, well, me and Mr. Mo to go actually work out, not the other stuff, you know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock roll around, I am completely not going to be functional enough to drive in people. Maybe me going to the I don't know, this was many moons ago, I was 7, my mother was excited and dancing, I was horrified, at least it wasn't, uh at at least it wasn't, John Mellencamp. Okay, there it's yeah. Thank you, Chat and Wendy, for being on top of things because, yeah, I don't pay attention, I don't particularly I am not a peopling person. I am an introvert. I love interacting with people on the internet. This has been the coolest thing. I mean, where else would I get to hang out with a Swedish union rep and learn disastrously that for a person who already cuts their drinks in half by using Diet Sprite, um, keeping up with a Swedish lawyer on Sweden Day was maybe not my best choice. But, eh, this is the amount of peopling I'm comfortable with, and loud and music and all the peopling and people singing poorly along with it, no. Alright, let's get back on focus because that is my new goal is to be focused. He stated he then walked back, sat on a bench on the trail and left. So he claimed he went to watch the fish. He stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. So thus far, same. At least it wasn't Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart seems to annoy me for reasons I can't quite figure out. But yeah. So the only thing that so far in his statement is corroborating anything is that he parked by a quote old building. Now again, they might have all of the evidence hidden behind all of this, but again, from different circles that I've heard things from and defense attorneys, this is not looking good as far as something that they can build a solid case from. He told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some kind of head covering as well. Well, yeah, he also sang Forever Young and was involved. He's just he's not my cup of tea, but then again, I just spent yesterday jamming out to Heart, and since my kids had been utterly teen and annoying, I just put on some Heart and Okay, you can do that. I need to work up to even pre-law levels of drinking. I he's grown on me, but okay, if you are in Indiana, I think it is, like, by state statute that you must I believe so. You must play, like, Jack and Diane multiple times an hour due to state contract, and I can't. I can't. I was exposed it's like if, um I'm sure every state has their artist that, well, he's done gotten famous. So, they play him to no end, and I simply couldn't. It was like the, Michael Bolton from Office Space, like, "Screw him, I had the name first, F him, I hate his music." I'm not that militant, but I'm sure it's somewhat like that. He further claimed that he saw no one else except for juvenile girls he saw east of the Freedom Bridge. He told investigators that he owns firearms and they are at his home. Oh, I like Billy Joel. My favorite thing is because for as much as I don't like peopling, I like to watch people and how hilarious we are sometimes. And my favorite thing is to watch people when they start singing "We Didn't Start the Fire" because we always start out real, real strong, and then we're like, Yes, yes, those were our guiding, stars, claims to fame. But I do like that the same as I like look, I'm Christian, I'm not gonna push it on you unless we're doing church lady, and she doesn't push it on you either, she just likes you to know about it. Church lady is a character I will pull out probably on, as an homage to the lovely Dana Carvey, sketch that he used to do when SNL was funny, so it's been many moons ago. But, she may or may not have roasted the ever-loving Pooh, but in a Southern, kind, church lady way, bless her heart way, if you will, of, Travis Rudolph's girlfriend married girlfriend, Dominique, so you guys can check that out. It's a much more lighthearted thing, but she will be coming back because since probably Church Lady Fridays, we might do that, or it might be a Thursday thing, because I know, Nicholas has it might be something that I get you, uh yeah, pretty much. That's the entire thing, but it's also like when you go to church and everyone's singing Silent Night, and we start off really good, and then we're like, "No one Silent Night." Anyone else know the damn words? There's 3 effing verses to this damn song. Did anyone know there were 3 damn verses to this daggone song? So, that's it. Although I will recommend yesterday was not a fun day at the Mo house. We were just teenagers are gonna teenager, and I'm trying to be a better mother than my mother was, and she did the best she could and was trying to be a better mother than her mother. So when they went full teenager for being asked, just put dirty dishes in, the dishwasher, terrible, terrible life, and decided to have attitudes about it. Um, I found a new song. Now, listen, I don't know if y'all are into metal, but Dan Vasc, he's a Brazilian and he has a cover. He is an amazing vocalist and he does all sorts of instruments and has a lovely set of hair. Honestly, if I was a man, I would just not like him because he's got all the things and it's just not fair for one person to have all those things. But he does an incredible his version of Amazing Grace. And y'all, I'm just saying if you're having a bad day, listen to that and or people reacting to Ram Jam Black Betty. It will take your day and make it funny, or Bobby Caldwell. I love me some Bobby Caldwell, but the reactions of what Bobby Caldwell looks like versus how Bobby Caldwell sings, hilarious. So they will make your day better. If you get done with when we go over some more of this stuff for the trial and, you need something to not be too heavy, you just look up people reacting to, What I Wouldn't Do for Love with Bobby Caldwell, and your day will improve. Alright, so he does say that they own firearms and they are at his home. Richard M. Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, also spoke to investigators. She confirmed that Richard did have guns and knives at the residence. She also stated Richard still owns a blue Carhartt jacket. On October 13th, 2022, investigators executed a search warrant at Richard Allen's residence at 1967 North Whiteman Drive in Delphi, Carroll County. Among other items, officers located jackets, boots, knives, firearms, including a Sig Sauer Model P22-6 40 caliber pistol, and then I'm not gonna do the serial numbers. Yeah, you definitely need it, but definitely, listen, I love Bobby Caldwell, and I love people reacting to it. I also like the fact that now this was a different time, people, so I'm going to tell you this story, but, Bobby Caldwell may or may not have been nominated for the Fresh New African American Artist, the in that current year. Now, when you see Bobby Caldwell in the video, you will realize why they redacted that particular award. You know, that is love. Look, I made Mr. Mo watch, Team America. He had not seen it. I don't know how we had been married, but I also have to now hide that movie in our kind of queue because my kids are always like, "A puppet movie." I'm like, No, no, you cannot watch any of this. I don't even think I'm mature enough. My fragile little mind was warped. So I'm allowed to see this, but when you guys are 35, you can all watch this movie, just not with me because that would be a little weird. Between October 14th, 2022 and October 19th, 2022, Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Allen's Sig Sauer Model P226. Laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel, overall length measurement, firing test firing, ammunition component characterizations. Well, okay, the greatest thing about Black Betty is that, and this is my technical analysis of the video as a non-technical person, but I believe that that video cost $200 to make, and 175 of that was the, devil's lettuce they bought because I believe one man has cornrows with beads going full Bo Derek. I mean, they were all amazing musicians, but they were like, "Look, we're spending most of this money on on this." Someone already had, a family reunion they were taping over, so they didn't even pay for the film, and they're like, "We're gonna have a barbecue at my mama's house. We're spending the rest of this on brisket." It is. I want to go rewatch it, but, again, it's hard for when you have 6 kids, it is like they sense when you wanna watch something that, is inappropriate, and even though they have all the pads in the entire house, they wanna come watch with you, because of course they do. So it took me like 6 months to watch We Are the Smiths, or We Are the Millers, not the Smiths. All right, let's see here. We're up here. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay. Laboratory determined the unspent round located within 2 feet of victim's two's body had been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model, uh, P226. Laboratory remarked, "An identification option is reached when the evidence exhibits an agreement of class characteristics and a sufficient agreement of individual marks. Sufficient agreement is related to significant duplication of random striated impression marks as evidenced by correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours. The interpretation of the identification is subjective in nature, based on relevant scientific research and reporting, examiners' training and experience." So, I'm kind of Gigi, I'm gonna say I'm kind of with David. I don't think you can throw the entire baby out with the bathwater as far as ballistics marks. You can show that what I think has happened is that, look, I had to have a whole wake because when my appellate attorney friend, because I said, "Is this junk science?" Because I had heard it on, the law tubes, and I was like, "Forensic files wouldn't have lied to me." It's all they've got, like, science-y equipment. They all knew exactly what I He will. This is not the droid you're looking for. This is not the casing you're looking for. I so I think the problem is if you are a layperson like me, you have come to think that they can narrow this down to within, like, no other person in the entirety of the world could have had this particular mark, this particular place. And I think what it really should be done for is, certain things, but not shown to be like the end all be all that we've forensic files and other things have. Yeah, I mean, look, I only know what I see on TV and YouTube, and currently I'm, watching, things about the James Webb, telescope as I go to sleep because I like astronomy, but I don't like math. Believe me, y'all, little Mo thought she was going to be an astronomer. She was gonna find, like, the new planets and a black hole, and she was just gonna be all of the awesome, like, and then some mean and horrible person decided to explain that most astronomy is math, and that was done. So then I decided I was going to be a, microbiologist. I was gonna play with, beakers and chemicals that, blow up stuff, and I know I am a nerd. Believe me, I am a giant nerd. But again, I was told that there was gonna be need to use math, and finally, I just decided to have 6 kids because I really can't math. I know, like, and I'd have to use trigonometry, which I have to thus far as a, D passing student, have yet to use in my life, but if you could have taught me that credit cards, with, 77% interest are a terrible idea, that would have been helpful, but no schools. Investigators then ran the firearm and found that the firearm was purchased by Richard Allen in 2001. Richard Allen voluntarily came to the state police post on October 26th, 2022. He spoke with investigators and stated he had never allowed anyone else to use or borrow the Sig Sauer Model P226 firearm. When asked about the unspent bullet, he did not have an explanation of why the bullet was found between the bodies of victims 1 and 2. Yeah, but all sorts of, like physics and evidency stuff and long calculations. Look, you enter that I have to do mathing, and I will show you a hobby I am not getting into. The worst part was when I used to do, weightlifting, and everything's in kilograms. So, if you're, mathing out your weight, you can have a bad day should you math out the wrong amount of kilograms versus pounds. And does Mo do that? Oh, yes, she does. He again admitted that he was on the trail, but denied knowing victim 1 or 2 and denied any involvement in their murders. Carroll County Sheriff's Department Detective Blank has been part of the investigation since it started in 2017. He's had an opportunity to review and examine evidence gathered in the investigation. Detective Redacted, along with other investigators, believe the evidence gathered shows that Richard Allen is the male subject seen on the video from victim two's phone who forced the victims down the hill. Further, that the victims were forced down the hill by Richard Allen and led to the location where they were murdered. Through statements and photographs of the juvenile females and the statement of redacted were at the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m. east of Freedom Bridge at 1:26 p.m. and walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25 after 1:26 p.m. and before 1:46 p.m. They walked the entirety of the trail and observed only one person, an adult male. You know, I loved weightlifting. I got in the best shape I had been since the kind of cycle of having a child, losing weight, getting another child. Look, I never used my weight loss responsibly. That's why God stopped giving it to me. But now that we're both spay and neutered, I believe God should give me back my ability to lose weight. Yeah, it is just so the Carroll County Police Department didn't take immediately gave this to the state police. This is what they have in the charging documents, and I've seen other YouTubers really solidly look at this and say, "Oh, this is totally the dude." And I know when I brought this up to Chandler, she was like, "Oh, well, I thought it was pretty solid." Maybe it's because I'm looking at it with different eyes and I've kind of kept tabs on the entire thing, or that I deeply want to make the state prove its burden of evidence before they take a man's life away. Look, dude could be all the guilties. I just need you to prove it to me, and this particular document isn't showing me anything thus far. Okay. Redacted vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:46 p.m., leaving at 2:14 p.m. She stated she only saw one adult male, blank, or redacted, described the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing. No, they did not. One said a jean jacket, one said all black with like a black balaclava face covering. One said a denim jacket. Now, again, he could have been purposely changing the way he looked. Like, let's say Richard Allen is all of the smarts. So he could have had several layers on, taking one layer off, putting one layer on to make it impossible for eyewitnesses to have the same testimony. But, I mean, they're also claiming that a PT Cruiser, smart car, and, possible mini SUV can also look like a Ford Focus. So, investigators believe the male observed by Redacted and Redacted is the same male depicted in the video from victim two's phone due to the description of the male by the 4 females matching the male in the video. Furthermore, victim two's video was taken at 2:13 p.m. and Redacted saw only one male while she was on the trail from approximately 1:46 p.m. to 1 or to 2:14 p.m. Now, what I am hoping to show you guys when I go there is that this is I don't wanna say desolate, but it is a rural, brushy tree thing. I mean, it is tree lined. There's going to be, undergrowth, underbrush. Sh The fact that this particular suspect, whoever did this, took 2 children, it would occur to me that he probably had this area staked out because, it's very high risk to take 2 victims, subdue them very quickly, to move them all in a public place that even if it's, a desolate place, I mean, you don't have control of, some jogger or some hiker coming to find you fairly quickly. Now, guys, I do have a hard stop in about 10 minutes. I didn't realize I had taken so much time. I just get to talking and chatting as you do. So I might Okay, it looks like we're gonna get all through the probable cause, but we will have to start going through the other things, in the next stream. What I will probably do is start with kind of the first part of the investigation and doing one of the mainstream media's, um, news. Oh, okay, wait, what was the movie that really scared me? Oh, okay, the movie that totally broke me, not scared me, was, Stephen King's The Mist. Do not watch that movie. I don't know if Stephen King was just really irritated with the entire world because he'd given up cocaine, allegedly. Um, but the end of that movie, no, just do not watch it. Do not read the Cliff Notes version, but that movie was I just Stephen King, sir. First of all, you're gonna need to Y yeah, do not the story is good. The movie, like, there are sad movies, like, oh, I don't know, Schindler's List or, you know, the Anne Frank Diaries or, any number of historical movies like the Titanic that know will probably not end with, everyone riding off into the d you know, it it is not as bad as Human Centipede, but the fact that some humans' mind the man also spent most of the '90s and '80s bumping nose clams, so not saying anything, but he also needs to explain the, preteen group love fest that was at it, because, I mean, I'm glad it stayed out of both movies, but sir. Okay, I don't know how we got on this tangent. Oh, well, yeah, I prefer to think that Stephen King is just like the author in Misery, and, I love a movie that can make Kathy Bates look super scary and also really creep me out when anyone brings a sledgehammer out for any reason and or offers to take care of me. I I will keep it very real with you guys. If there is not a semi-shirted male on the front of a book, I will not read it. So and I don't know that Stephen King goes to those sort of books. Alright, let's see where we were so we can finish this out before I have to go and figure out why my eyes are just terrible. Okay. Investigators believe that Richard Allen was the male seen by Redacted and the male seen in victim two's um, video. Richard Allen told investigators that he was on the trail from I think we got through that. Okay, so basically his clothing match. A vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at or around 2:10 p.m., 2:14 p.m., and 2:23 p.m. at the former CPS building. Now, I need them to explain with look, Fabio and me, besides, only he could be so darn fabulous that a bird wants to run into him on a roller coaster. But he so basically through his own admissions that all they have is that he walked through there. A male subject matching Richard Allen's description was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. Investigators identified other individuals on the trail or County Road 300 North between 2:30 p.m. and 4:11 p.m. None of those individuals saw a male subject matching the description of Richard Allen on the trail. Furthermore, Richard Allen stated he only saw 3 girls on the trail. S Sorry, apparently my, state rep wants me to definitely explain to him why I shouldn't be on his agricultural, like, committee. I'm like, "Well, I don't have a farm, and you're, the government. I don't speak to you. My name is Rusty Shackelford, and we have never nor will ever see, eye to eye with whatever the government is." Investigators believe Richard Allen was not seen on the trail after 2:13 p.m. because he was in the woods with victim 1 and victim 2. An unspent 40 caliber round between the bodies of victim 1 and victim 2 was forensically determined to have been cycled through Richard Allen's 6-hour model P226. The 6-hour Model P226 was found at Richard Allen's residence, and he admitted to owning it. The investigators were able to determine that he owned it since 2001. Richard Allen stated he had not been on that property where the unspent round was found. He did not know the property owner. He had no explanation as to why the round cycled through his firearm. So, guys, as we dig through this, you will find that there have been a litany of suspects, and the owner of this particular property that abutted to the, Monon Trail area spent years and years, basically defending his innocence, and look, the man did some shady things, okay? But he had his life shady things like he wasn't supposed to be driving, he had a suspended license, so he asked a friend if he would say that he had driven him somewhere. Yeah, I am not a firearms type of person, so I do not know. I don't know if they mean, like, he chambered it and then decided not to y'all, I have not seen many movies. Like I said, if I get a chance to unwind, I will watch, World War World War II documentaries, dinosaur documentaries, planetary. I like to learn stuff and watch pretty colors. Furthermore, he stated that he never allowed anyone to use or borrow his Sig Sauer Model P226. Investigators believe that after the victims were unalived, Richard Allen returned to his vehicle by walking down County Road 300 North. Investigators believe he was seen by Redacted walking back to his vehicle on County Road. I want to say County Line Road because that's how we say it down here, but each sort of county has different things, with clothes that were muddy and bloody. Redacted, along with investigators, believe that the statements made by the witnesses, because the statements corroborate the timeline of the death of the two victims, as well as coincide with the admissions made by Richard Allen. Further, accounts relayed by Redacted are similar in nature, and timestamps and photographs taken by Redacted correspond to the times the female juveniles said they were on the trail and saw the male person. Let me see if it no, it's just a bunch of ads. Ooh, I'm there. Um, I did the one it's called In Color, so they take actual stock footage and they go back to, like, the start of the war, the unsteady peace and all that kinda thing. But that's where we're gonna end, and I want you guys to kind of think of like I said, I will probably be canceling my, I will be canceling Scott Peterson, the stream that I was going to do tonight. I will not be, continuing, like, the weekly updates of that trial. I just think this is Scott Peterson, not that Scott Peterson. This one only has 1 T, and he is the, school resource officer that was the at the s at the Parkland High School. They're trying to get him for child neglect, for not going in when it looks chaotic. What I might do is I might, reach out to a couple people that have had experience with being in active combat if they're comfortable talking about how difficult it is to, at the moment of time with all the things that are going on, really identifying where, you know, weapon fire is coming from. I might do that. I might do, monthly updates, but from what I can see of week 1 and week 2, it is a retrial of oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, that's a good idea. I'm glad you didn't do that. Look, my husband, I was lucky we were both lucky enough that he did his 20 years active duty in the National Guard, and because he's really good with logistics and he was in a medical unit, he helped process the soldiers from this area getting ready to go, but he never had to go anywhere, and we just know how incredibly, incredibly unusual and lucky we were to have that happen. So he has been able to retire, but I mean, a lot of people that are retiring are coming back with really bad stories and really just look, y'all, I am with George Carlin. If we had kept calling it shell shock, maybe we would have taken it and we would have gotten all of these veterans who are dealing with actual shell shock, not, post-traumatic stress disorder, kind of taking it and making it clinical. Maybe if we had kept it shell shock and really kept that hard, crisp language, we would have given, those soldiers and the ones that lost their battle with their mental demons the help they needed. And we wouldn't have a lot of broken military families because of it. But that's just my soapbox, and, you know, like I said, we were incredibly lucky, and my husband did not have to deploy anywhere, so but that is where we're going to lead off. I do want you guys to think about because we're going to kind of compare and contrast in a upcoming I have a tentative schedule, but I want us to compare this probable cause affidavit with the one that came out in the Letitia Stout trial, because I think you're gonna notice that there is a dearth of actual evidence that really links this man. And again, like I said, they don't have to tell us everything they have in a probable cause affidavit. This is just, hey, we can, arrest him without a warrant apparently, or, search his house with a warrant. But in the Letitia Stalk trial, I mean, we had, victims Jeep or, crazy lady's GPS of like her 18 rental cars places her at X location. We were able to find, board with suspected, blood that came back as matching Gannon, you know, at the area that this particular place is, defendant or probable cause lady was being monitored. Her stories didn't add up. We have phone recordings that we helped or got with the help of the husband. So I want us to go over that at some point. We're going to have an entire stream. It shouldn't take this long because I will attempt to stay on topic. But I really want us to look at things because young, not law tube me would have said, "Yeah, this sounds totally right." I mean, why would the state police, try to hem up a guy on some flimsy evidence? But there is a distinct difference between both of those cases as far as what I believe. So I believe this is how I do my research thus far because I am learning the interneting. But if you just go to Google or Bing, Firefox, wherever you're currently using, and put the Letitia Stalk probable cause affidavit in, I believe since it has been adjudicated, it's public knowledge. So it might be redacted in some spots. It might not be redacted anymore. Um, and I'm not sure Colorado what kind of their statute level is as far as releasing everything to the public, but I believe you will be able to find, either, the actual paperwork, or I know that nearly every crime tube when the Letitia Stalk, case, was going on, as soon as that probable cause affidavit dropped, like, every crime tuber had it and they read it. So, if you want to be read to, if you're like me and, when I was just a casual LawTube listener, I always had one earbud in while I was doing laundry, and I would listen to people read it, or you can read it on your own. But I definitely want us to kind of go through, and I'll probably take notes of what they actually had on Letitia versus what they're using as concrete evidence for this. So I will see you guys next time. So not tonight, but tomorrow night, I'm going to see if Salvador can join me, and we are going to watch some of the mainstream media, kind of case exposés from before they had Richard Allen as a suspect, because I think everything's been colored since, but I wanna see what they say about the case. What was the other one? So, the probable cause affidavit I just read, I want you to compare and contrast what the Letitia Stalk case, her probable cause affidavit had versus what the one I just read had. So if you missed some of it, I mean, basically all they have is he, claimed to be there and the cartridge cycled through his weapon and the bullet was found, or the cartridge or bullet or what have you was found in between the victims. So, it doesn't sound too concrete to me, but I will probably be, doing that on Thursday. I'm gonna get with Salvador and see if he is available, and then I will probably be putting on, if I can figure out how to put it on my thing. Yes. It's Richard Allen is the suspect in this case, and then Letitia Stalk, I mean, we know who. Well, it's just I mean, you will notice kind of the supreme lack of any evidence or any sort of thing that's kind of even remotely as detailed as what they had on Letitia before they went after her. So, And I know it's apples to oranges, but it definitely does speak to kind of the standard that they were holding themselves to in Colorado and what they're holding themselves to in Indiana, and I'm going to have to get with my, local attorney friend to see, statutorily, what kind of things were they using as benchmarks in this case? What made it okay to go to a judge with this amount of evidence and to the objective eye, what it looks like, sort of kind of convenient, evidence that isn't really established as much as they say it is, and get, court approval for a, warrantless, arrest and a warranted house search. So that's what we will be doing. We will also be looking at mainstream media kind of coverage, both local and national, before this particular person, uh, became a suspect because there were a lot of shenanigans around what was released to the public. There are 2 different sketch uh, sketch marks? No, sketches that were released, and they look nothing like each other. It seems like this case has gotten very interesting and very in-depth, and there might have been some ball dropping, but I will talk to you all later. I am going to get my eyes fixed. It will be lovely not seeing everything in squint, and then I can come back and be able to read and type and get notes ready for Thursday night for this stream, and I plan to do a weekend church lady review of since both Jeff from, Legal Vices and Nicholas are covering 2 rap cases, I believe that, w church lady may need to review well, okay, may need to check the actual lyrics that are in these songs, but church lady may review, both, let's see, Melly. I think one of them is named Melly and the other one is named Mr. Damon or Demon. Look, they were both parts of, RICO slash, uh, youth gang culture, and, between Jeff Nicholas and I, we will crack this rap, genre and become experts. I will see you all tomorrow and have a better schedule and be able to kind of give you an update on where I plan to go with this case since this, not the Scott Peterson case, is going to be kind of my first solo slash, you know, captain's seat sort of, case for me. I will see you all later. Have a great day.